Ooh, suddenly soundtracks are here to provide you. Suddenly soundtracks will show you care. Oh, be more the soundtrack inside you with sweet understanding. Oh, with sweet understanding. With sweet understanding. Soundtracks are your friend. Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of Suddenly Soundtracks, the show here on Take 3 Productions where we go through a musical, song by song, and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. First, we will dissect the entire movie, song by song, and give our rating of each song out of 10. Then we will rank each song from worst to best, then give an overall average of our scores. In the end, my final verdict will be given, and it will either be not rockin', scratched disc, one-time listen, download the soundtrack, or rockin' for the best of the best. Tonight we are going through our first jukebox musical of this series, Across the Universe, which was released in 2007, which is essentially a musical set in the late 60s that basically incorporates a lot of Beatles songs, deep cuts, hits. It's really, really interesting, and I'm going to go over to my two guests. Miss Jessica Morgan, how are you doing today?
Doing a bit better now that I've beaten back this darn cold.
Yeah. When was the first time you've seen Across the Universe?
Oh, shoot. It's probably like within a year of it actually coming out, because I live in the middle of nowhere, so I have to wait for things to come out on DVD.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And my other special guest, FinelyTaylored herself, Miss Taylor Robinson. How are you doing, girl? When was the first time you saw this musical, and why do you like it so much?
I'm doing great. The first time I saw this musical also was probably within a year of when it came out. That was right around the time I was starting high school and getting very, very, very into music. I love this musical because of the cast, and I love this musical because it's all Beatles music, and I don't know how you couldn't love that.
Couldn't love it. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Well, we are going to go right into this movie. And it's a real ass kicker because we start off with the main character. His name is Jude, and he's like sitting on this beach, and he's singing the deep cut. It's a deep cut. They start this movie off with a deep Beatles cut, Girl from 1965's Rubber Soul, and it's a very, very interesting, very quiet, almost a cappella, eerie version of Girl that kind of sets the mood for this movie.
Is there anybody going to listen to my story? All about the girl who came to stay.
I love the way that Girl is used in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very cleverly placed. I think it really catches your attention right away to use it the way that they did. I love this song more, I think, after I saw it in the movie.
This was a rather interesting choice to start off with. Not a lot of people have really heard it unless you got hardcore into Beatles, like in your early 20s, because you were doing certain things that don't need to be discussed. I give Girl a pretty solid 8.5. It probably would have gotten higher if they actually tried using more of the song in the actual musical.
Yeah, they really butchered it. They butchered it down a bit. Yeah, I agree with that. Taylor, what do you give Girl out of 10?
I gave it a 6 out of 10 just because, like it was mentioned, they really cut, so we didn't really get to hear much of it at all. So if it would have been longer, I definitely would have given it a higher score because I love the way they did it.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. I myself am giving Girl a 6 out of 10 as well. This song really could have been great had they not cut as much out of it and streamlined it as much as they did, because it's the opening number. They could have added a little more to that, indeed. And then after we see him on the beach, we are introduced to the title sequence. Well, kind of a title sequence. It kind of establishes who Sadie is, who people are, through this kind of montage of Helter Skelter that immediately comes in right there off the bat, and it's kind of flashing you back in time.
When I get to the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide, where I stop and I turn and I go for a ride till I get to the bottom and I see you again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look out! Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter.
This Helter Skelter performance by Sadie feels and sounds like Janis Joplin. She really, really has a great rock star voice, and this version of Helter Skelter I really, really, really do dig. Taylor, back to you. What do you think of Sadie's version of Helter Skelter right off the bat as the second song in the movie?
I wasn't too much of a fan of it, honestly. It kind of was a little jarring to go from Girl to that, and just kind of was a little shocking. It's not a bad version of the song, but it's definitely not my favorite song in the movie by any means.
If you're going to do a female version of Helter Skelter, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
I am full sail on board with this number.
And I myself give Helter Skelter a 9 out of 10. I love, love, love Sadie's voice. I'm going to say that a lot during this video. Sadie kills every song she sings. Jess, what do you give out of 10 Helter Skelter?
I also gave it a 9.
Oh, you did? Awesome. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Something tells me, Taylor, your score is a little bit different. What is yours out of 10?
Yeah, my score for this song was very, very much lower. I gave this one a 4.
But then we head right into and we establish our main female character, who is named Lucy. After Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. All of these characters are named after certain songs in the Beatles discography. Like the main character Jude is obviously Hey Jude. Lucy is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and we are introduced to her and her boyfriend, who is getting shipped off draft-wise to because of the war. And it's this song, Hold Me Tight, is basically their love at this prom kind of thing. And it actually is really, really interesting because it's her and it's Molly who sings this too. Molly is Jude's girlfriend, and it's kind of intercut between the two of them and them saying goodbye to the two people that they love dear right at the beginning of this movie.
I really like the way that they arranged Hold Me Tight, how it intercuts between the two of them. I thought it was an interesting way to start off the movie and kind of show you the two different places we're starting at with the two characters that we're being introduced to. So I really like the way that they did the arrangement for it.
I quite enjoyed this one also. The way that they interspersed between the two different dances, and it kind of really established where both of these main characters were coming from.
It was a good establishing song is what you're saying. It really established who these characters were. Okay, I get what you mean, and it actually is very joyous, and I love the arrangement and the vocals in this. To a huge extent, this movie so far for me started off really, really well. Jess, what do you give this out of 10?
I give this one an 8 out of 10.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I actually gave it an 8.5. Taylor, what do you give this out of 10?
I gave this one a 5 out of 10.
as we are introduced to, as I said, Molly, and this was really intercutting between Molly's relationship with Jude and Lucy's relationship with her boyfriend Daniel, who is getting shipped off. Jude decides to leave London, where he works, and move to America to search for his dad, but he has to leave his girlfriend behind, Molly, who is concerned that he's going to find a new love, and he's here telling her that no, that is not going to happen in the slightest, with a song, the classic from 1963's The Beatles album, All My Lovin'.
I'll pretend that I'm kissing the lips I am missing, and hope that my dreams will come true.
I think it's a very clever way to kind of show us where the character is at that point, a little bit of an allusion to where it's going to go. So I think it was clever the way that they used it.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, halfway through the movie, I forgot Molly existed. I did. And then she comes back. So yeah, that's basically what happened with me in this song.
This was a really nice one. There's some of the numbers in this movie that they deviate pretty far from the original source material, and there's other ones that come pretty close to the original. And this is one of the ones that actually does come really close to the original, but I do still kind of dig.
With that, I cannot give All My Loving anything less than an 8 out of 10 from me. This was a fantastic cover, and I wish more of the songs in this movie were like it, sadly. Jess, out of 10, what do you give All My Loving?
I also gave it an 8.
Wow.
I think we have similar tastes.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Jess actually mentioned that some songs deviate a lot from their original version. This one, I would argue, deviates one of the bigger deviations. This is I Wanna Hold Your Hand, sung by Prudence.
Oh, please say to me you'll let me be your man, and please say to me you'll let me hold your hand. Now let me hold your hand.
It's established that she's a lesbian and that she has feelings for her fellow cheerleader captain, and it's a very, very interesting arrangement of I Wanna Hold Your Hand, not one that I'm a fan of at all. They really decided to just make this a completely different song with the same lyrics. That's basically what they did, and they kind of destroyed I Wanna Hold Your Hand, and I can't really say anything but that.
I wasn't too fond of the arrangement, and it could have been used better.
Yeah, you know that thing that I said about you and I having similar tastes? Yeah, apparently we don't. I love this part. I got exactly what they were doing. I got exactly why they arranged it the way that they did, and I was sold 100%, bought my tickets, and I'm on my way.
I literally gave this I Wanna Hold Your Hand version a 4 out of 10, and that is being generous for me. Jess, out of 10, what do you give I Wanna Hold Your Hand?
And see, this was one of my favorite numbers in the whole show, and I gave this full 10 out of 10.
Jesus, wow, that's a complete opposite turn. Yeah, Taylor, what did you give this out of 10?
Clerk, I'm right there with you. I gave it a 4.
Bada bing, bada boom. We are going to go to the next one, which we are then introduced. Okay, so Jude basically goes to this college in Princeton to track down his father. And then he meets Max and runs into this good-looking guy named Max, who's this troublemaker who doesn't like school and just wants to focus on what he wants to focus on in life. He's a rebel. He's very rebellious. And he kind of mixes in gradually with Max's friend group with, very appropriately, the song with a little help from my friends, where all the frat is basically singing, we're friends, we love doing what we do, we love each other, we love being around each other. It's very, very feel good.
Get by with a little help from my friends. Get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, gonna die with a little help from my friends.
And very, very shoehorned in. I don't feel like this song, even though it sounds okay, really, really needed to be here. It just felt like this entire sequence was written around the fact that we have to put this song into this movie somehow, and it just felt really artificial and forced. I might be very, very, very in a minority here, I don't know. But Jess, do you agree with me or do you not?
I enjoyed it. I don't know if it was that necessary, but it does pretty well very quickly get Max and Jude together as the new best friends of the story. Except he can go on and, you know, screw with his sister.
Yeah, it does admittedly do its job.
I enjoyed this song. I think that for what they wanted to accomplish, it does its job. I think they really very quickly wanted Max and Jude to be friends and really wanted to show us that, you know, they're going to be, you know, together in this together for the rest of the movie. And I really liked it. I thought it was a good way to show, you know, Jude starts hanging out with them and then we see it bleed in to the next day. And I thought the arrangement of the song was decent.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I'm in the minority here, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. I'm being generous. Taylor, what do you give A Little Help from My Friends?
I gave this one a 7.
I gave this one an 8.
Wow.
I enjoyed it quite well. Just it could be better.
Then we get into this whole plot with Lucy and her boyfriend going off to the war kind of fizzles out pretty early on in the movie because he sadly passes away. But we get this last note to her after he's left that it won't be long. This song, It Won't Be Long, is basically Lucy telling herself and her friends that yes, Daniel will be back. It won't be long till I see him again.
It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you.
I enjoyed the song. I thought that it was used well. I think it's sung very well, but it's not super exciting by any means, so I think it's decent.
It was very nice. I'm not the biggest fan of Evan Rachel Wood singing. I'll just say that right now. I really think they could have gotten a better actress.
Yeah. Well,
but for what her voice could do, this was very nice.
It really does actually pull and compliment this movie really well for what happens to her boyfriend after this happens. So to me, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was good, and it sounded great in my opinion.
I actually ended up giving this an 8.5. For what Evan Rachel Wood's voice could do, this was what it could do.
I gave it a 5 because, like I said, it's decent, but it's not the most exciting or the best song in the movie by any means.
Okay, so after that, Lucy and Jude finally meet. Jude kind of realizes that he has feelings for Lucy through this great cover of it. I've just seen her face.
I've just seen her face, I can't forget the time or place where we just met. She's just a girl for me, and I want all the world to see we met.
And it actually is a great upbeat arrangement. It feels like a Beatles song. It feels like a good tribute to a Beatles song. It's arranged like a Beatles song would be arranged in the 2000s era. And it's perfectly placed, and it makes so much sense why he's singing it at that point in time.
It is one of my favorite songs in the whole movie. It was arranged was fantastic. I thought the way it was sung was great. I loved how it was used in the movie. The scene itself was awesome, so I'm a big fan of this song.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time that I got married, we actually did our first dance to this song.
This version?
Yes, this actual version.
Wow.
Which may have affected its score a little bit, but... But it was very lovely.
I myself can't really. It's a good one. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. Jess, what do you give it?
I also gave it an 8 out of 10.
I also gave it an 8 out of 10.
Hey, finally on the same page.
All three of us. Eights across the board. And then we get into what I consider the best part of the movie, is this little sequence where the violence in the late 60s sucked. The protests in the late 60s sucked. The racism in the late 60s sucked. This version of Let It Be is bone-chilling.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be.
And then as the song continues, we realize that that kid actually died. And the rest of the song is sung by this chorus, this gospel chorus, at his funeral. This is a very, very deep and bone-chilling version of Let It Be that I love to absolute death. The context is basically what I went into this movie wanting, and I got it.
I absolutely loved it. It hit me very hard the first time I saw this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing it and seeing it together was so powerful, and like you said, so bone-chilling that it just sets you back and just makes you take a second to really think about what they're going to be diving into in this movie, other than just the love story that we have going on. So I loved this so much.
This is the part of the musical where it hits you with a 2x4 of, oh yeah, remember all that happy-go-lucky Leave It to Beaver crap from the 60s? Bam! Still the 60s. Sheer perfection. Oh my god, I wish I could sing like that.
Yeah, that woman who sung the last part of Let It Be killed it. And this arrangement is fantastic. And the fact that that kid at the beginning dies, literally dies, during this song is sad. And his voice is still heard singing when you see his dead body in the casket. And that's just ridiculous. Jess, what do you give Let It Be out of 10?
Oh, this was 10s out of 10s, totally. Bone-chilling and taunting and beautiful and oh my god.
Let It Be got a 9 out of 10 for me. It was incredible.
Let It Be for me gets a 10 out of 10. I don't give those that often. 10 out of 10. This was great musical cinema. Let It Be was fantastic. But with that song, we were introduced to his brother Jojo, who is essentially named after Jojo was a born in Jerusalem from Get Back. And Jojo is an aspiring guitarist, moves himself to New York City, hitchhikes himself to New York City, and we get this great elongated version of Come Together, sung by Joe Cocker.
Here come old flat top, he come grooving up slowly. He got Jude eyeball, he want holy roller. He got hair down to his knee. Got to be a joker, he just do what he please.
I really liked the sequence a lot. I thought the way that it was put into the movie was great. And I think it worked really well. But I don't know, the song for me wasn't fantastic. I thought it was all right.
And as I was saying earlier about, with a little help from my friends, here comes Joe Cocker, the man himself.
Yep, there's a reason why they put
This, I'm not gonna lie, I dug hard. Especially when it starts getting into the guitar riffs that you later hear Jojo playing at his audition in front of Sadie.
Yep.
And so this kind of hit the ball.
It just, the fact that Joe Cocker's playing these different characters always was amusing to me. And I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10.
This one got a 5 out of 10 for me.
And this one got a 9.5 for me.
We are then introduced to Sadie, who you actually heard her voice in the actual sequence of Helter Skelter. Sadie singing Why Don't We Do It in the Road, which actually acts as an introduction to her voice, and who she is as a person.
Why don't we just do it in the road? Why don't we do it in the road? Why don't we do it in the road?
This is pretty well the point in the musical where you see that she is supposed to be your kind of Janis Joplin-esque stand-in.
Yeah.
That kind of musician at this time. Add her to the list of people that I want to sing like. Oh my gosh, she is awesome.
This song is amazing. Her voice is just astounding, and I absolutely loved this version of the song. You can't find anything wrong with it. It's amazing.
Why Don't We Do It in the Road gets actually a 9 out of 10. I love, love, love this cover. Taylor, back to you. What do you give out of 10? Why Don't We Do It in the Road?
I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
And I gave it this an 8 out of 10.
All right. So then, sadly, Lucy is informed that her boyfriend Daniel died in the war, and she's heartbroken. And then she kind of comes to the realization that she is in love, and she's finding new love with Jude through a song called If I Fell.
If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me?
Where she's basically lamenting the fact that she has feelings for Jude. If I Fell is sadly forgettable. It really is. It feels very forgettable and washed out from a lot of the more bigger moments we've seen in the film. If I Fell, kind of, you needed a song there, and I understand you needed a song there, and If I Fell kind of fills that void, but it doesn't do much more than that.
I thought it was okay. It's, like you said, it's not very memorable. It doesn't really do too much in itself, but it sounds nice. It's not bad.
Whoever was arranging this one for Evan Rachel Wood's singing talents should have been fired after hearing this for the first time. Oh, it was so completely not in her range. That woman is an alto. Bring it down. Bring it down.
Yeah, transposing. Transposing is a godsend that you should use, and I feel like musicians should use more. You shouldn't be ashamed to transpose something if you need to transpose something. And I'm transposing this score down to 5 out of 10. See that transition? Yeah, this one got a 5 from me. Jess, what do you give this one?
I gave this one a 6 out of 10. It only got the 6 because of what it's doing for the story. If it was just based off of how it was sung, it would have been like a 3.
Oh wow. Okay, that actually I kind of agree with. Taylor, what are your thoughts? What do you give it?
I gave this one a 5 out of 10.
All right. So then we kind of get the news that Max is being drafted into the army. Remember, this is the late 60s. This is the Vietnam era. And we get a very, very interesting sequence. I want you, she's so heavy, in quotation marks. Which, the imagery is fantastic. You have this point where Max is being sung to by Uncle Sam from those Uncle Sam army posters. It's really, really intense.
I want you so bad. I want you. I want you so bad. It's driving me mad. It's driving me mad.
I really liked this song a lot. I thought the way it was used was really interesting. The way that they kind of moved through the scene was great. I really, really enjoyed the way it was used in the movie. I thought it really serviced the story very well.
This was sweet. I'm not gonna lie, this was sweet.
I love the visuals, yeah.
It was just about the only Beatles song that you could use for somebody having to schlep their ass to the draft board.
Yeah, it was very fitting. and I'm surprised. It's not a song you hear a lot. It isn't, and they really dug deep.
It's one of my favorites, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I gave this one. I love the visuals. The song itself, I mean, I can see why it's a deep cut. I can see it, and it's not as catchy as the other Beatles songs or memorable as other Beatles songs, but the imagery is fantastic, and it easily gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Jess, what do you give this out of 10?
I give this one a 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite old Beatles songs. They kept every part that I enjoyed out of it, and the parts that I didn't enjoy, they've altered. So it just kind of almost elevates the song.
I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
Prudence is struggling. This is the lesbian cheerleader that we saw earlier in the film, and she has feelings for Sadie, but Sadie is involved with JoJo, and it's making her very, very sad. I never liked Dear Prudence as a song, but the way it was incorporated into this movie was ingenious.
Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play? Dear Prudence, greet the brand new day.
This was another one of the songs where they altered it just enough to make it almost amazing. And when it starts getting into the bridge part, where you start getting the 3-part harmonies from everybody, oh!
The wind is low, the birds will sing, that you are part of everything, dear Prudence.
I thought it was very interesting the way they set the scene up and how she's actually literally in the closet and they're trying to sing her out of it. I just kind of thought that was hilarious and fantastic. And yeah, those harmonies are something else.
I love the context of this. Even though I'm not a fan of the actual original Beatles song, this movie actually does it quite well. And it works, and they figured it out. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Jess, what did you give it?
I gave this one a 9 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Bono plays Dr. Robert, and he sings what a good stereotypical hippie in a film should sing. I am the walrus.
I am the Eggman. They are the Eggman. I am the walrus. Cuckoo-ca-choo.
It's a very trippy song because it's full of bad green screen.
I really liked this song. It's towards the top of my favorites list from the movie. I don't know. I just like the way it was sung. I like the trippy arrangement of everything. And I don't know. For some reason I just like this chunk of the movie where everything's just kind of trippy and weird, and I loved it.
It was a perfectly serviceable attempt to try to be John Lennon, which that's kind of what I got from Bono's singing of the song. Like, you are sitting there trying to be John Lennon. You cannot be John Lennon.
He kind of is impersonating it more than making it his own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Bono, and I love Bono, and I feel like the visuals are just so ridiculous, and his performance is so fun, and he's having a blast that I can't give it anything more than a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Love this, love this, love this. Jess, out of 10, what do you give it?
I give this a 7.5 out of 10. You could get some higher scores if you actually tried to not be the Beatles.
Indeed. Taylor, what do you give it out of 10?
I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
This whole circus sequence is super freaky. Just super freaky. They run into this weird ass circus run by Mr. Kite, and Mr. Kite is played by Eddie Lizard, and he sings being for the benefit of Mr. Kite, which this is one of the most interesting experiences that I've ever had on Suddenly Soundtracks ever.
K&H to show the public their production's second to none, baby. And of course, Henry the Horse gonna do the waltz. Oh, you've gotta see it. It's genius.
Watching this song was joy to my eyes from start to finish, and I didn't know what the fuck I was actually watching. It was great. It was great. Taylor, can you knock some sense into what I witnessed?
I wish that I could do that for you, but even, you know, like 11 years later, I'm still trying to figure that out for myself. However, that being said, I do love it. I thought it was so creative and so interesting and so weird. The song by itself isn't anything special, but yeah, but with the scene, I thought it worked, but I don't know. Can you guys make sense of this? Because I have no idea.
This was like 5 minutes that didn't need to be in the movie, but totally needed to be in the movie. Just because of how awesome it was. Jess, do you share our sentiments?
There is no way that I can make sense out of this sequence without living in either Colorado or now California. God, it was a trip that I was happy to be on.
Yeah, this is one of those there's moments in cinema where it's such a random scene that could have easily been cut and nobody would miss it, but God, it was a great waste of time. That's essentially what this song is, a fantastic waste of time. I give this one an 8 out of 10. It was so fun. It only gets knocked down 2 points because the song isn't the best, but the fact that it just was so memorable to me from the actual film itself. I cut it slack that I usually don't cut slack with things on Suddenly Soundtracks, because I judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides, but this is an exception. This is an exception. I'm sorry, it's an exception. You can shoot me, but it's an exception. Jess, out of 10, what do you give Mr. Kite?
I gave this one actually an 8.5.
Oh.
I love the ride that I was on, and you can pretty much just give me Eddie Izzard in anything, and I am there. I am so there.
Eddie Izzard is a man, is begotten among men. Taylor, what do you give Mr. Kite?
I gave it a 6, just because, like I said, the song in itself is whatever, but the scene was great, so I'm just giving it a 6, and we're just gonna leave it there.
See, Taylor knows how to follow my own rules more than I do. That's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. And this is one of those moments where Eddie Izzard basically comes in, makes you go what the fuck, and leaves and never comes back, which is sad. I wish he came back in the movie, but he doesn't. And then they all basically, after they experience that song, collapse in a field and sing sing pretty much an a cappella version of the classic Because from Abbey Road.
Because the world is round.
And the harmonies are great. Like, there's not much more to say than they sing Because lying down in a field with a lot of great harmonies. That's essentially what this is. Taylor, what are your thoughts on this one? Because.
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up there.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about the scene itself or really the arrangement of it, but I thought it was really good. I actually really enjoy listening to this version of the song. So I thought it was good. I liked it.
This is pretty well how the Beatles would have done it in 2007, because back in 1969, when this was on the Abbey Road album, they did not have the technology yet to layer the 9 voices in harmony like they do on this song. This is 10 out of 10.
Holy
shit. This is easily my favorite song.
Wow. That was a surprise. Taylor, what do you give this one?
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Actually, I'm with Taylor, 8 out of 10. It's fantastic, though. Absolutely fantastic. And just does give a point. A lot of these songs use modern technology. Obviously, it's 2007 to create this stuff. And when you're comparing it to a 50-year-old recording, it could be a little unfair. But because, as she said, probably would have been recorded like this in the 60s if they had the ability to do so. After Because, Jude and Lucy begin to really have a good relationship, and they bond. And essentially from basically a scene from Titanic. He's drawing her. He's basically drawing her in the nude, and he's singing something, which is very sentimental, telling her that he has feelings. It's a very, 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 very good relationship of the arrangement of this song.
Somewhere in her smile, she knows that I don't need no other lover.
It's obviously a very intimate scene in a lot of ways, and I kind of like how it's just very stripped back, and they're singing to her. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Indeed. And I like the instrumentation. His voice, the guy who plays Jude, his voice is really good for these kinds of songs, and it really shows through this song in particular. Jess, what are your thoughts on Something?
This song, the way that they did it in the musical, was literally just one man singing to his woman about how much he loved her.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really understand why, he just does. And it's hauntingly gorgeous.
It's very hauntingly gorgeous. That's a good word for it, haunting. I gave Something a 6 out of 10. It's decent.
I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. I was there for every step of the way.
I gave this one a 6 out of 10.
Jojo starts to get jealous of Sadie live in front of an audience. They basically break up through the song Oh Darling.
Oh, darling,
Oh, darling,
if you leave me,
if you leave me,
I'll never make it alone.
I doubt that.
Which again sounds like a Janis Joplin song. It's a Beatles song, but damn does she sound like Janis. And damn did they not do a great job of basically making them argue through music. They really, really did. Like, he's purposely playing off key, and they argue. She storms off and he finishes it off. It came out really good.
Oh, this is another one that's just, oh, this is exactly what this song needed to be at. What this movie needed at this moment.
I thought that this was pretty much perfect and exactly what it needed to be. It was used so fantastically where it was in the movie. And the arrangement was crazy, how it was basically like them fighting through music, which was brilliant. And their voices are both just out of this world. So I loved it.
Yes, and I love how they staged it and how he basically comes in at the end after she storms off. I gave Oh Darling a 9 out of 10. Jess, what did you give it?
I gave this one another one of my 10 out of 10s. This musical just has so many just absolutely perfect songs that it was hard to give it just one 10 out of 10.
I gave this one a 9 out of 10.
We go from one fight in Oh Darling to another. Jude starts to get jealous of this extremist group that Lucy has been fondling, and he basically pins strawberries to this tapestry, and we get Strawberry Fields Forever.
It's getting hard to be someone, but it all works out. It doesn't matter much to me.
Damn, this song was very well placed. I really love the imagery in this song.
Oh yeah, I loved the placement. I thought it absolutely worked. And it really, really is great because it gives us a chance to just spend a little bit of time with Jude and where he's at in his head after this is all happening. And I thought the way it was shot was beautiful. It just looked great, and like we were talking about, I love his voice and how it fits with these songs. It was amazing.
This song was almost perfect. Then we start getting the intercuttings with Max being shot at in Vietnam and what he's going through at that moment. Every single piece of harmony worked almost perfectly. Like, these two should be singing everything together. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Max. I'm going to get into him in 1 second because he basically gets annihilated and put into a hospital bed during this entire song. It's really, really juxtapositioned over this song that we've grown up with for years and years and years, and it gives it new context, and it was really, really interesting. Strawberry Fields gets an 8 out of 10 for me. It was solidly placed, and the context is great.
Strawberry Fields got a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Jude goes to the actual office of this organization that she's a part of and laments them and tells them that they are all hypocrites. This song, Revolution, is placed very appropriately in the movie. Sadly, the inflections of some of the verses and the way that the song was arranged to be in that scene did not fit.
Say you changed the Constitution. Well, you know.
You gotta leave, buddy.
Yeah, we all want to change your heads.
Who is this asshole?
You tell me it's the institution. Well, you know.
I kind of thought that if they were going to put this song in the movie, this was the only way that they were going to fit this song into the movie.
Yeah.
Was having this fight at the office. And just chastising the entire office of, you are all a bunch of hypocritical SOBs, and fuck all of you.
I feel like the inflections of some of the lyrics were kind of inappropriate. I don't know, but did you like that? Or did you think it was appropriate?
I didn't really find that at all. I thought this was pretty well spot on of, if I had to do this and fit this song in somewhere, this is pretty well how I do it.
Yeah, I agree with Jess on this. I feel like it was used in really the only place you can use it. I didn't really have a problem with the way that it was sung, or I enjoyed it for what it was.
That's the magic of music. It's opinion based. Sadly for me, this is the worst one for me. I like this probably the least. I gave it a 2 out of 10. Did not like this use of Revolution whatsoever. These girls are totally opposite of me. Jess, what did you give this one? I
gave this one a 9 out of 10.
I
thought
opposite.
It was exactly what this movie needed at this moment.
That's completely opposite. That's like I'm south, you're north.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
After that song, basically, Lucy and Jude begin to break up. He comes back to her apartment, and he finds her gone. And we get into this song called "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," where him and actually JoJo as well kind of sing about their sorrows about losing the two women that they loved.
With every mistake, we must surely be learning. Still my guitar gently weeps.
I have so much love for this sequence and for this song. I thought it sounded incredible. Mm-hmm. I loved the emotion that it brought out at the time that it needed to be brought out, and was really well placed. I can't possibly say enough good things about this song.
Kind of am not the biggest fan of them swapping out the guitar riffs in the original for vocalizations. For what it did for the musical, it definitely did its job. I gave this one a 7 out of 10.
I gave this one a 10 out of 10.
For While My Guitar Gently Weeps, I will give this one, again, a 7 out of 10. It was great. Then we'll get into the title track.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe.
Here they combine Across the Universe with a reprise of Helter Skelter. And it's really, really interesting.
When I get to the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide. Where I stop and I turn and I go for a ride. Till I get to the bottom and I stay. Look out! Help is still gone. Help is still gone.
The these are two songs that could not have been any more different, but they're blended together in the musical in just the most fantastic way. You get the realization that Jude is like, I'm going to make this up to Lucy and go see her at Columbia. And then you get just the pure emotional violence that comes with Helter Skelter, and it's one of my favorite parts of the musical.
I really appreciate what they did with it. I feel like it may, you know, on paper not seem like it's going to work out very well, but the way that they do it and execute it in the actual movie is just fantastic. I loved it. I loved the juxtaposition of it and the way that it takes you from how Jude is feeling and knowing that, you know, he knows he needs to fix things, and then just being thrown into so much bigger problems that are going on. And it really brings you back to, you know, the other storyline of the movie of what is happening that's affecting all of them. This one I gave a 7 out of 10. Seriously?
That's exactly what I gave it to. It's a great sequence, great medley. And it's just, I kind of maybe wish there was a little bit more to Across the Universe, since that's the title of the movie. Maybe I was expecting that, and I didn't get it in the actual film itself. Jess, what do you give it?
I gave these two a 9 out of 10. Like, if they'd have put more Across the Universe in there, it would have gotten 10s.
And so, with Max injured in the hospital, we get this weird-ass song, Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Happiness is a warm gun. Happiness is a warm gun. Yes,
This is another one of those where they didn't really change too much versus the original, but it totally works for what they're doing here. He is going through just so much emotional bullshit at this point, and it's pretty much just only heroin basically that's getting him through. All those shots of morphine that they see giving the nurse giving him at the end there, that's the only thing that's getting him through the day, and that is his warm gun.
Yeah, this is another very trippy scene that I enjoyed very much. I thought they did it very well, and I thought it was a great representation of how Max is feeling at this time and kind of where he's at in his life. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it.
I felt like it was very trippy. A few set pieces were kind of a little too trippy for me and a little weird, but a little too weird for me for my... I mean, we already had Mr. Kite, so I don't know what I'm saying. But, you know, maybe I don't think it was as necessary as it really should have been. I don't know. It didn't have that quality for me, and I don't know if I really cared for it as much as you girls probably did. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's okay-ish. It's okay-ish. Jess, what did you give it out of 10?
I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. Wow. I was so on this song the whole time. And yeah, being on a morphine trip really is kind of like that.
I gave this one a 7 out of 10 because apparently I'm a fan of really weird things.
Okay, so after that, we get into Blackbird, which is essentially Lucy's regret. Jude was right, and the people she surrounded herself with ended up blowing themselves up.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
This is one of the few times in this musical where Evan Rachel Wood's voice actually works kind of with the song, because in the context of what she's going through at this point, that kind of more less powerful, more haunting style of singing kind of works with it. That being said, I do miss a lot of the instrumentation from the original, but kind of affected my score just a little bit.
It's truncated a lot. You can't really give it more than a 7.5 out of 10 for me, just because it is good. But again, as Jess was alluding to, it kind of... It's true that things can be too short, and I think it was. I think it was too short. Jess, what did you give this out of 10?
I gave this one a 7 out of 10. It was good for what it was, but why did you have to cut George's guitar?
I gave this one a 6 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but yeah, there just wasn't enough to it, I think.
And then we get into the home stretch. Now, all of this time, there's this main character named Jude. Do you know what song he's named after? I'll give you one guess.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better.
He thinks that Lucy died in that explosion and wants to go back to New York.
Hey Jude, don't let me down. You have found her, now go and get her.
Thought it really brought the mood back up in the movie. It kind of gets you excited again about hopefully getting a positive ending and not just being really sad about everything that happened. And I thought it was sang pretty well. And yeah, I like the way the scene was set up with where they're both at the bar and you kind of just see it as a back and forth.
This was just the pick-me-up that this musical needed. That dude on the street corner playing the
drum,
the crates and the trash cans and stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, go you.
So, Hey Jude, I give this one an 8 out of 10. It was uplifting, it was fantastic, and it's a classic.
I wouldn't be the barfly that I am if I did not give this a 9 out of 10.
I saw it at 7 out of 10.
This is a flaw of the movie. This is a huge flaw, and it's a huge plot hole. We never get to see the reconciliation between Sadie and JoJo. All we see is they're suddenly back together on a rooftop, like that classic rooftop sequence that the Beatles, the stunt that they pulled back in the 60s, where they played on top of the rooftops. And they're standing on the rooftop singing,
Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like he does. Oh, he does. Yeah, he does.
Other than the huge gaping plot hole that we're just gonna ignore, I do love them singing together. They just sound so great when they sing together, and her voice is incredible and his voice is incredible, and it's a wonderful song, and I loved it.
there was something big that had to have been cut for there to just be this gaping hole where, like, something to intercut between the Max, Lucy, and Jude, and they never go back to them until the end of the movie. It's so weird. I watched this and I'm like, did I miss something? Am I watching a different cut? Nope. That's basically what the movie is. Jess, what are your thoughts on this song? And can you make sense of this?
Can I make sense of the plot hole? God, no. Can I make sense of the song? Yes. This is fantastic. JoJo and Sadie are singing again. Prudence is back. Somehow, I hope her contortionist girlfriend is around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But the gang is all back together, and things are back to normal, and thank goodness. I enjoyed just about every second of this song.
The song is good. The song is good. And this is where you judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides, not the holes that it kind of makes you think and wonder. This is a song for a payoff that we never got. Thank you, film. You're drunk. All right, so Don't Let Me Down, I gave an 8 out of 10. It's a great song, regardless of how they got there to that point. It's great. They're just magically on a rooftop. Taylor, out of 10, what do you give it?
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Indeed. Jess, what do you give it?
Oh, I feel like the Paula of the group. I love everything. I gave this thing a 9 out of 10.
Well, that's why we have a fan on here. Because last time when we didn't necessarily have a fan of a movie soundtrack on here, we got Nightmare Before Christmas, and me, Robert, and Vanessa decimated it. It was fantastic.
That makes me so sad. I love that movie so much.
It was a very controversial episode. Yeah, just ask Alita and Dan. They threw beer at the screen. After they are kind of asked to get off the roof by the police, Jude starts to sing All You Need Is Love on the rooftop, and everybody joins in.
All you need is love. All you need is love.
Whoa.
All you need is love.
Love is all you need.
This song was just about the only thing that you could finish this musical with.
Yep.
And, well, sitting in the car re-listening to the soundtrack, my lovely daughter, God bless her heart, just had to pop off with, well, this song is wrong, Mommy. Okay, why? People need food and water to survive. I love you, dear. That's not the point.
That's adorable. That's adorable.
And as soon as she gets back to the house, we're definitely sitting her down to watch the movie like, this is why all you need is love.
When you show your daughter that, she's gonna wonder why the hell Sadie and JoJo are back together at the end too. So good luck explaining that.
I'll let you know, Chris. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of predictable. I mean, I'm not that I minded it so much, but I just kind of thought it was funny to end it that way. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I gave this a 9 out of 10. It was an almost perfect finale.
I gave All You Need Is Love 8 out of 10. It's perfectly feasible. It's just, it's good. It's fantastic. It's nothing special though. It's predictable. And then we get to the credits where we've had this main character named Lucy, and we never got this song. And we kind of didn't get this song. This was a cheat, and it kind of bummed me out.
Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
And here we have again Bono trying to be the Beatles. It's way too much the exact same song.
Yeah, I kind of feel like once it started playing, I was like, man, this was totally wasted. You just took this song and you like shoved it in the credits and you didn't do anything with it, especially when you have a character that's called Lucy. I'm serious right now. Like, what are you doing? So, I mean, it was, I guess, a decent version of the song, but I was just like, this is going to be one where my score is affected by how mad I am about them not actually using it well, I think.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a credit song. Yes, you can use it in the credits if you used it in the actual damn movie. It's just, I can't believe it. I gave giving Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds 7 out of 10.
Don't feel bad, Chris. I gave it a 6.
Yeah, see, neither of you should feel bad because I definitely gave it a solid 5 out of 10. So
yeah, they wasted it. Just that's the definition of wasting a good song. And they wasted one of the best. Alright guys, we're going into the last part of the show where we are ranking each song from worst to best.
Well, at the bottom of the barrel is If I Fell. After that is Lucy, Blackbird, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, I Am the Walrus, All My Lovin', Why Don't We Do It in the Road, I've Just Seen a Face, Hold Me Tight, With a Little Help from My Friends, Girl, It Won't Be Long, Mr. Kite, All You Need Is Love, Don't Let Me Down, Hey Jude, Helter Skelter, Dear Prudence, I Want You, She's So Heavy, Revolution, Across the Universe / Helter Skelter Reprise, Come Together, Something, Happiness is a Warm Gun, Strawberry Fields Forever, Let It Be, Oh Darling, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and my number one is Because. That song is just the most amazing piece of machinery in this entire musical.
I've got I Want to Hold Your Hand. I have Helter Skelter. At 27, I have Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. At 26, I have Come Together. At 25, I have Hold Me Tight. At 24, I have It Won't Be Long. 23 is If I Fell. 22 is Blackbird. 21 is Something. 20 is All You Need Is Love. 19 is Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. 18 is Girl. 17 is From Gun. 16 is Don't Let Me Down. 15, I Want You, You're So Heavy. 14, we've got Across the Universe. All My Loving. 12, Revolution. 11, Hey Jude. 10, Why Don't We Do It in the Road. 9 is With a Little Help from My Friends. 8 is I Am the Walrus. 7 is Because. 6 is Dear Prudence. 5 is I've Just Seen a Face. 4 is Let It Be. 3 is Strawberry Fields Forever. 2 is Oh Darling. And number 1 is While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
For me, at 29 is Revolution. At 28 is If I Fell. Then I Want to Hold Your Hand. Something. Blackbird. Girl. It Won't Be Long. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. With a Little Help from My Friends. All You Need Is Love. I Want You, She's So Heavy. Dear Prudence. Strawberry Fields Forever. Happiness is a Warm Gun. Don't Let Me Down. I Am the Walrus. Because. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Hold Me Tight. Oh Darling. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. All My Lovin'. Across the Universe. Helter Skelter. I've Just Seen a Face. Hey Jude, Come Together. Why Don't We Do It in the Road? And Let It Be is my number 1. Bone chilling. Out of 290 possible points, Jess had 247, which equates to 85%. Taylor had 193 points, which equates to 66%, and myself came out to 210.5 points, which comes out to 73%. Altogether, out of 870 points, we came to 650.5, which equates to 75%, meaning that overall we think that this soundtrack for Across the Universe is a one-time listen. Anyway, guys, that concludes our episode of Suddenly Soundtracks, the show where we dissect a movie song by song and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. I would like to thank my two guests, Jess Morgan and Taylor Robinson. Jess, where can the good people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at jrmorgan1985 and prowling around the Take 3 Facebook page. And every once in a while, you can find me on the Worldwide Movie Games Network with my partner Jen Kemp, taking names and kicking ass.
Cool. Taylor, where can the good people find you online?
The good people can find me on YouTube and Twitter at FinelyTaylored and Instagram _FinelyTaylored.
Cool. You guys can find me here on Take 3 Productions every Wednesday doing Suddenly Soundtracks. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can also find me on YouTube at No Man's Land Entertainment. Anyway, girls, thank you so much for this. This was fantastic. Tune in next week where Tim Franco from Late to the Party joins myself and Chris Dillman as we go through The Wizard of Oz. That's going to be something really special. But anyway, guys, take care and keep rocking.